We do not trust the iPad this morning. Okay. I've got it at the perfect angle, but I don't know that it'll stay. So if the iPad collapses in the middle of the talk, oh well. Which hopefully will be better than it kicking me off in the middle of the thing, which is what happened yesterday. Yesterday's is in two pieces, and one's before David and one's after David. Hopefully either today or tomorrow, I will download them both, knit them together, and re-upload them properly. But that is a project for another day. So, maybe today. Okay. So, we are doing Living the Science of Mind. I don't know why I have my glasses on. Let's do the housekeeping really quickly. And all the housekeeping is me reminding you, we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email is info@creativelife.org. You get about one email a week unless something unusual happens, because we do live in hurricane country. And then it tells you what's going on for the week and the month, and the hot links are hot. If it says click here now, right to the information or the person that can help you get it. Also, it's a blind CC, so nobody will see your email. Nobody will get your email from us. Okay, so there's that. Hopefully that will make it worth it to you. Now, let's do the social media really quick. We don't monetize social media because we don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. What we ask you to do is engage with our pages. So go like, follow, subscribe based on which platform it is. Like on YouTube, if you subscribe, it tells you when we upload new videos. If you allow notifications on Facebook, it'll let you know when we go live. And then with the individual posts, if you will like, share, and comment on those, bumps us in the algorithms. That's the goal here. So, all right. Do I ever think we'll get to 1 million followers? I don't know. I mean, Jesse's got a lot of fans out there. So, and if you know anybody that would appreciate Jesse, this is one way you can share Jesse. So please do that. And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. Like on Instagram, we're Creative Life Spark. And I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. I might as well do a shameless plug for myself. All right. Although mostly I use my social media to try stuff out for Creative Life. So, except the YouTube. I keep the YouTube updated because that's where all of this stuff goes. I don't want to clutter up the CLC page too much. So, all right. So we are how to build your tomorrow today. Collection of essays by Ernest Holmes. Honestly, whatever, you can read the back of the book, what it says. You can Google it and see what it says. My pet theory: people came to Ernest after reading the textbook or hearing his lectures and said, tell me more about this. And so he wrote essays, and which ended up being a take-home course or an at-home course. You could mail off for it from the back of the Science of Mind magazine, and they would send you a lesson a week for 48 weeks. So, which reminds me, I need to get the name of what they called the lesson, because they bound them into books. It took like 6 books, I think. 5 or 6 books. All right. So, how to build your tomorrow today. Life is an adventure, which is definitely the way I like to think about it. Life is an adventure in which we never know what is going to happen just beyond the turn of the road. But too often, our day is filled with regrets over the past. If we could convince ourselves that the limitations of the past need not be carried into the future, what a happy outlook we should have, which is his way of saying principles not bound by precedent. One of the outstanding things that Jesus taught was that the mistakes of yesterday can be canceled, that God's creation is always taking place, and no matter what the experience of yesterday may have been, they can be changed. Jesus did not seem to think that this change required months and years of strenuous effort. Unlike those around him, he knew that God, or the divine spirit, wishes only good for everyone. He knew that we are all rooted in pure spirit, in perfect life, and that at any moment we can so unify ourselves with the power of good that evil will disappear from our experience. Even as what we did yesterday set the law of life in motion to create what we are doing today, so what we are doing today sets the same law into motion to create what will happen to us tomorrow. What we did yesterday is carried over into today only because we give our consent to it. You know what? That's a really good line. Ernest has this beautiful way of saying things that you're just like, what? We give our consent to it. We got to get better at saying no, is what I'm hearing. What we are thinking and doing today can create the kind of tomorrow we wish to experience if we will change our outlook on life. But since today is the only day in which we live, and yesterday has forever passed, the change that we need to make within ourselves must be made today. And so we have to live each day as though it were complete and perfect within itself. We have to live each day as though all the joy there is in the universe were ours now. And we have to live each day as though all the joy we ever expect to experience were ours now. If we make every day a day of praise and thanksgiving, a day in which we recognize the divine bounty and the eternal goodness, and if we live today as though God were the only presence and the only power there is, we would not have to worry about tomorrow. Now, apparently, I think the next paragraph is really important because there's a big old pencil star next to it. So let's see if I was right. We are all human and we have all made mistakes. The starting point for creating a better future for ourselves is to deliberately free our minds from the mistakes of yesterday and feel that they need no longer be held against us. They need no longer be a liability. Which is, that's very important. That's what forgiveness work is about. And that is what making amends is about. It's like, if you screwed up yesterday, learn the lesson, do better today. If you hurt somebody yesterday, well, apologize, say you're sorry, and don't do it again today. So, all right. Too often, our minds are so burdened because of the mistakes we have made that we do not take time to forgive ourselves. See? I knew where he was going. Okay. We do not take time to forgive ourselves and others and start over again. And so it is wise to occasionally review the past and try to find out just what we have been thinking and doing to create this burden in our minds. Suppose we have had a deep sense of animosity towards others, and because of this, find that we are not meeting people in the right spirit. They naturally respond to us the way we meet them, and our whole set of human relationships is out of harmony. We cannot go back over the past and really relive it. We cannot make adjustments in the past. We have to make them in the present. It is not going to do us any good to sit around and cry over the past and bemoan our fate, because the very day we are living in, we are creating our tomorrows, which will become monotonous, repetitive repetitions of yesterday. So, today is the time in which we should cut loose from the threads of previous experience, wherever they were negative, and deliberately make up our minds that we shall no longer create our future out of the old past. If we have had antagonisms and resentments in the past, today is the only day in which we can change them. How then shall we do this? We must arrive at some practical way, some definite and concrete method, and deliberately use the law of good just as we would any other law of nature. In doing this, the one who is suffering from their past mistakes of resentment and animosity merely turns quietly to themselves and says, I have decided to change all this. I want to like people and I want them to like me. I want to get along happily with others. I forgive myself for everything that has happened up until now. I loose it and let it go. I not only forgive myself, I forgive everyone who I feel has held anything against me. I forgive and I am forgiven. And back of this powerful statement, we know that all the power of the universe conspires to help us. We should feel that we live in an eternal presence of pure spirit whose whole purpose is good, whose whole desire is constructive, and whose whole feeling towards us is one of love and compassion. Okay, therefore we should say. Now, I think that's one of the most important things right there. Whose whole feeling towards us is one of love and compassion. If we are into that judgmental God, then we don't feel like, everything is conspiring to our good. So sometimes one of the things we got to do is go back and look at what we actually think about God. It's like, okay, I never bought the account in the sky. I just couldn't. All right, so here's his other kind of little affirmation. Knowing that God is the only presence and the only power in the universe, and knowing that God is love, I deliberately turn from everything that is unlike this love. I desire that this love and compassion and well-wishing for others shall be the whole theme of my life. Now tell me, isn't that an amazing way to live? Like, I want to live that way. Okay, it does not seem possible that so simple a method as this can produce such a dynamic result, but it can. But experience has definitely proven that it can. Anyone who tries this method will experience definite results. The most wonderful thing about it is that we do not have to change anything but ourselves. For every person is the cause of their own experience, whether they know it or not. We are all carrying the negative experiences of our past into the future merely because we have not disconnected them from our minds. If we are creating a negative future, it is because we have not changed our thought about it, which is one of the reasons why forgiveness work, especially of ourselves, is so powerful. We have seen the same thing happen to people who have failed in the past, as though nothing could ever work out right for them. We have seen them deliberately change their thought, disconnect their memory from failure, push it aside mentally as though it no longer belonged, as though it were no longer a part of them, and affirm that good alone accompanies them, that life is made to live successfully and happily. Accepting this and daily affirming it, we have seen failure and defeat turn into success and triumph. We have not the slightest doubt that when we do this, we are using an all-powerful law. The law of good we talk so much about, the law which controls everything. We are swinging into line with the great harmony of the universe. And that's one of the things that they talk about, okay? It's not about time. It's about alignment. Once we come into alignment, things happen. So time is merely time is merely what happens while we are making the adjustments to come into alignment with. Yeesh. All right. But before we can entirely disconnect ourselves from the negations of the past, we have to learn to fill the mind with positive acceptances, which are so much greater and deeper than the negations we have been entertaining, that they consume them by their very presence, just as light dissipates darkness. It is not going to do us any good just to make a lot of idle resolutions or make up our minds that we are going to create such a dynamic personality that nothing can withstand it. We don't want to overwhelm people, even though occasionally we do. This is too much like a person whistling in the dark because they are afraid. What we have to do is get back to some fundamental proposition which ties us directly to the mind of God, and with the simple acknowledgement that there is a law of good in which we have complete confidence, reverse our whole mental outlook on life. Okay. we disconnect ourselves from the past and find ourselves firmly rooted in the good of today, in love, in hope, in joyful experience, and in grateful acknowledgement, and if we learn to harmonize with everything that transpires today, tomorrow will blossom like a new flower in our experience. Or we might think of it another way. When we are weeding our gardens, we often find certain plants that are choking out the growth of things we wish to harvest. So we pull them up, throw them aside, cultivating only those plants which we want to mature. We do this today. Yesterday is past, and tomorrow has not yet arrived. So the only time we can weed our garden is today. And honestly, I love that metaphor. I love that metaphor of weeding our garden. Because your mind is a garden. All of those thoughts are plants. And you get to decide what are weeds and what are the plants you want to cultivate. And what you want to do is focus on the thoughts that are positive and affirming and what you want, and let the negative ones die. Weed them out. It's like when you think one of those thoughts, you're like, nope, that's not for me. Okay? And then focus on what it is that you want. I love the weeding the garden metaphor. My dad was a fantastic gardener, and he grew some of the most beautiful flowers. So I know about weeding gardens. Okay. And one other thing we have to realize is that we did not make the laws of life. We only use them. The power that makes the garden is a power greater than we are. All we do is use it. Of necessity, the creative soil has had to produce the weeds that hamper the growth of desirable plants. And of necessity, the same law has to stop creating them when we uproot them. Now, if we could shift this whole scene into mind, into our thinking, then we shall have the key to the situation. This has to do with the moment in which we live. Are we permitting love to blossom in our lives? Of course we want it to, but are we deliberately uprooting everything that denies love and trusting the Lord of creation to produce the desired harvest? What if we are confused and distraught and upset and all out of sorts? What if the pressure of the past has appeared to cloud the sunlight of the present? The past is gone and the sun is shining on the other side of the clouds. So let us deliberately resolve to change our thinking today and make up our minds so that we can have confidence in life. Now, that is where, if you are really struggling, therapy and practitioners are helpful. And you don't even have to go to a practitioner. Sometimes just talking to a really good friend, that helps too. Somebody who can just hear you out and say, you know what, have you thought about this? Okay. No one can be hurt by doing this. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose. We can uproot all the unhappy thoughts of the past, all the thoughts of failure, all of the doubts and fears, all of the petty animosities and disagreements, if we really want to. And we can create our own future today just by carefully guarding our thoughts. But how can we do this unless our faith in life is greater than our fear? Unless hope rises triumphant over despair, or until love cancels everything unlovable. This takes us back to what is the great need of the world. The world that somewhere along the lines has lost its vision of God. We have gone on our own too long. We have separated ourselves from the source of our being. We are like persons lost in a fog. The one great resolution we should make today, as we turn from the mistakes of the past and look to the future with hope, the one great resolution we need to make above and beyond all others, and more important than all, is that we will find God. And since we must deal with people and events, and since our lives must be spent with others and in doing things, how can we expect to find God outside God's own creation? How can we expect to realize God in the emptiness of space if we refuse to see God in those we meet? And how can we find God in those we meet and in events that transpire around us unless we have first discovered God at the center of our own being. We cannot. The starting point is at the center of our own being. When we awaken to the divine within us, it will reach out and embrace everything around us, and it will discover the same presence in people and in events and in all of nature. For God is not separate from what it's doing. The divine life is in everyone and in everything. This is the secret that Jesus discovered. This is why he was able to speak as no person ever spoke. This is why he was able to perform the miracles of love and healing, and in so doing, prove a fact so simple, so fundamental, and so powerful that people stand in awe before it. The simple fact that God is right where you are. You know, occasionally he just kind of hits that home run in that last paragraph. He just smacks it home. So, what I heard all the way through that is practice the presence. Once you practice the presence, everything else is easier. What more can I say to that? All right, beloveds, I need to wrap this up and move on into the process of my day. So I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of business day, a you got this day, a do what you gotta do day, a practice the presence day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a look into somebody else's eyes and see God looking back at you, a go look in the mirror and see God looking back at you, a recognize that good is all there is, a you got this day, a drink plenty of water day, a dance in the rain day, a stay out of the thunder day, a enjoy the weather as it is day, a take care of yourself day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, and I know it can be, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. Very important part of that. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are godly. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move into the rest of my day. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. That's what he talked about the whole time. Good is all there is. The divine knows you to be good. And from there, anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. All right, beloveds. I'm done. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. We've got a really short one tomorrow, so, but I get to go to the gym tomorrow, so I'll probably do this a little early, because I like to do it before I take a shower. So, take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.